Computer. Yo. All righty. This is the spoilers. Spoiler alert. We're doing spoilers. As I said before here, I'm going to share over here to Ocean Business Services. And as I continue to share, and as I mentioned in the beginning, okay, I definitely mentioned this at the beginning, is that wow, I watched all these things. Can I just absolutely say I absolutely love everyone in this group? I mean, we are freaking awesome, tenacious, going at it, trying to make it happen. It was fantastic. I hope I don't piss anybody off when I tell you the spoilers, but I promise that a lot of these negotiations the devil's in the details. And I said the hardest thing about doing these things is stop being you. You have to be this character. You have to read this character and be this character's interest. So there are at least four or five of us that are entrepreneurs that have already started businesses. There's four or five of us that are in the finance industry. There's a couple of us that are actually venture capitalists that actually do this. It's very hard to stop being a venture capitalist once you are one. I know, I've been there. I worked on Wall Street. I did it. Okay, but you have to be these characters. Otherwise, you're not going to be doing the negotiating and exercising the muscles, the negotiating muscles. It's kind of like in sports, right? You have running drills, but then you have arm drills, right? If you try to use arm drills while you're doing your running drills, you're not really doing the running drill, right? So you got to only use these muscles. Now, I promise, this one, we did the first one, first of all, because I'll bet you none of us have ever had a negotiation about urinal cakes in our lifetime. This is the first time you've ever negotiated about urinal cakes. I can almost guarantee that. Well, Brigida has been in this class several times, so she's done it several times. But none of us have ever had a conversation about urinal cakes, much less a negotiation. But, and I thought that was kind of fun. But it's a it's pretty ubiquitous type of negotiation. We've all seen Shark Tank. You've all seen, okay, equity. But you got to get into these characters. Getting into the characters. That's where this. So we've got two things going on here. You got Pat Torrent, who is the CEO of OBS. Pat Torrent has started this company because it seemed like it made sense. The whole family's involved with this thing. Pat Torrent has been lit. So those of us who are entrepreneurs, which is very interesting to see. Some of us, there's two of us that are entrepreneurs that were participating as the venture capitalist, which was very interesting dynamic to see when you're starting a company and you're living on beans and rice and you're broke all the time and your spouse wants to kill you because you're working on this thing instead of getting a real job and you can't afford extra toys for your kids and you can't afford to put them in baseball because you just don't have the money because it's all tied up in this business that you're starting that you just can't wait to liquefy, but you don't want to liquefy it because you've done it with no debt, you haven't borrowed anything, you didn't get a mortgage, you're using shoelaces multiple times, and then when they stop being shoelaces, you're using them for floss, right? You're reusing everything. And that was kind of written in there. Like we do a lot with very little, okay? We're going to use that duct tape multiple times. We don't use the toilet paper. We use both sides of the toilet paper. When you're that person, okay, that's this person, okay? So the idea of you were like even basically talked into even talking to a venture capitalist. Like, what are you even talking to this person for? You hate this person. You hate these people. You don't want anything to do with them. And the only way you'll consider doing anything with them is if you do it on a very part-time, short-term time, just to get you over the hump, just to get you through the door. You want them the idea of them having any equity in your company. It makes you want to throw up. It's that offensive. It's that obnoxious to you. That's that character. Gene, who is a venture. All right. How many of us think it's really cool to go to Wall Street on your office and tell your friends that you own a urinal cake company? All right. How many of you going to you think you're going to go to the Wharton Club and you're going to brag like, "Hey man, you guys, after we have a couple beers, you all want to come out and check out my urinal cake company?" That's never happening. You know what? We're going to have an oyster dinner with Dom Perignon at the urinal cake company. It's never happening. Okay? You do not want to be known as the PP investor. Okay? You don't want that. You want in, you want your money, you want out. You don't want equity. You want equity just long enough to make sure that these people pay you back because your money comes on the carry. You don't get any money. You don't get any money on the crap that they pay you for the maintenance fees. That's nothing. You want out as fast as you can. You want the carry. You want this to be a liquidity event as fast as possible. And the only reason that you want to have some ownership is because you want to make sure they do it right and pay you back as fast as they can. That said, let's see how we feel about our negotiations. Let's get in here. Positions and interests. Okay. Again, we talked about this before. I saw a couple of us come out here and be like, hey, I'm not going to control you. I don't want to control you. Hey, we're hands off, man. We're hands off. And then all of a sudden, like, hey, let me see your debt to equity. Okay. Let me see how you came up with the pricing for your product. Really? That's interesting. And like Brigida said, hey, if I'm going to give you $1 million, I want to sit at your desk. I want to have access to every piece of information that is in this place. I want to read every email, every text message. I want to see everything you do until you pay me back. It's $1 million for heaven's sakes. That's a lot different than framing it like, hey, you know what? You tell me what it is where you want to go, and let me help you get there. Again, it's framing more than anything else. Oh, I saw this a few times. Let's just get this out in the very beginning. When you give somebody a price range, what if you think that you're actually having them consider the price range, whatever the lower number is the thing that they think they heard. Okay. If you say, hey, I'll sell this to you between $5 and $10, what did they hear? $5 if they're buying it. And flip side the other way. Here's You've probably all heard this joke. Okay. I'm just going to tell the joke because you know what? It's good. Okay. uh, a person walks into a bar and sees another person sitting at the bar and goes to the person sitting at the bar and says, hey, will you sleep with me for $1 million? And the person sitting at the bar says, oh, okay, for $1 million, sure. And the first person turns around and says, okay, I'll give you $1. And this person sitting there says, wait, I thought you said you were going to give me $1 million. And the first person says, well, first we were determining what you are. Now we're just going to haggle for the price. That's kind of the same story here as the range. Okay. Okay. What we're doing is when we start out with this range, it doesn't help. Okay. So get rid of that. Get rid of the ranges. Now, I said, now this is the key. Okay. This is the devil's in the details part of this. You're not allowed to negotiate on other deals. So in other words, it can't be like, okay, well, we've got the urinal cakes now, and we're going to have the printed toilet paper and the bacon scented toilet paper next. Okay. You can't do that. But you could, and this is where the whole key is, knowing that your goal is to get out of this as fast as possible. You both have a compatible goal here. You both want to make as much money as fast as you can so that you part ways as fast as possible. Okay. What does that mean? You cannot include future investments, but the quality and terms of the deal are fair game, including, and I saw quite a few of this. I'm amazed. A bunch of us did contingency plans. If this happens, then I'm out earlier. I saw a couple of us get it backwards, where it's like, hey, if you make $1 million in the first year, I'm going to own more of your company.
Hey, with Protestant, it is strictly forbidden in the church, but with a few qualifications.
There you have, strictly forbidden in the church. So this is a real company.
As heretics. So any baptized Protestant who knows about the Catholic Church is indeed a heretic. With that being said, let's take a look at what the church says about communion.
That was interesting. Okay. This is a real company. These guys came to my company and they wanted me to invest in their company. And their company's actual name is called PP Face. So the company actually exists. I didn't make this up. I didn't make it up. Can you believe that? Everybody thought I made it up, right? I didn't make it up. PP Face. You can go, you can get anybody's face or portrait. There's Putin. There's your friend Putin, Brigida. You can get them all. Anybody you want. Get their faces on there at a low, low price. All right. So did we write down our goals going into this negotiation? Very important. That's the key. Got to have it written out. I wish I had a goal. How do you know a good goal? Because it has to be concrete. It has to be specific. It has to have measurability. And lastly, it has to be public. That's the key. So we go in. Also, I saw quite a few of us what I call force a first offer. Never do that. In our reading, you'll see there's a direct correlation, a 0.85 correlation between first offers and outcomes. And I saw this all over the place here. But I said, say, well, what do you think it's worth? Why do that? Why not say what you think it's worth? Start with your offer, because 0.85 of the time, it's going to end up coming out where you started, or very close to it, or connected to it. The exceptions to that are sneaky tricks, okay? Tactics. When somebody comes out with a hard ball offer, like a high ball or a low ball, then you reframe it, right? It's like, why are you saying that? Okay, you're not going to buy this thing for $11,000 or $8,000 or $7,000. That's ridiculous. Let's reframe it. Don't take their frame, reset the frame. All right, the wall of honorable mention. Like I said, um, if anyone has any questions about this stuff, feel free to shoot me an email. But when I see remarkable comments, I always write them down. Like I said, I have notes on every single one of these negotiations, every one of them. Here we go. You ready? Here's some of the funniest comments that we had. Ready? People are going to be urinating forever. Hey, which face is your best seller? You got to ask that one, right? Like which one do you sell the best? We understand there's a great. Oh, I love this. I understand there's a great opportunity in urinal cakes. Do you? Where did you read that? Was that in the Wall Street Journal? Uh, you know, this was great. This is a great way to get sports figures into our bathrooms. I thought, oh, uh, oh dear. You know what this company is? It's kind of like Ben and Jerry's. Brigitte, you're scratching your head too. We're both like, yeah. uh, I think anyone would be interested in flushing down their ex's image. That's that's great. Uh, Gene, I'm going to be honest with you. Financing isn't my strong point. I really just know urinal cakes and how to print on them. Uh, I love this one. One of us kept saying over and over again, "Hey man, hey, we have a 100% success rate. Do you have any other?" This was a great comment. Do you have any other investors lined up that are willing to give you $1 million check today? That's a great one. And what is that? Do you remember? Exploding offer, right? That's exactly what that is. Okay. Oh, once we buy this one got me going. Once we put our mark on it, others will see what we've done and want to join in later. You realize we're talking about urinal cakes, right? Like, you gotta love that. Okay. Oh, I love this. Is a good one. It's definitely unique. It's definitely unique. Uh, Business vendor. It's not every day where you see someone investing in art on urinal cakes. So it seems like a very niche business to me. I'm not surprised that you have a majority of the market there. That was great. Uh, oh, now, okay, now pay attention to this one. This is crazy. Okay, so this is really, really good. Um, Give a little, take a little. Okay, I've heard that before. But this I mentioned this before. Hey, we don't want to control you. Now, what's your cost per unit, your cost revenue breakdown, and your percentages? Okay, okay. This one here, I want everyone to never say this again. The best negotiation is when both parties aren't really happy. Okay, please let us never say that or feel that again after this class. If you walk away with one thing, let it be that. All right. Ocean, I saw some graphics, I saw some pictures. Let's go to our chalkboard. Let's knock this stuff out and then it will be bourbon time. Number one, most important thing, and this is me breaking down. Now, again, some of the devils is in the details of the reading. So if you just kind of cursorily glance, I mean, look, I know everybody's busy. I get that. I totally get that. Please, 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 I don't want to put anybody in a bad position where it goes against work or goes against the family life or anything, summer and stuff. That's the last thing I want. I'd rather you wait and be late with a negotiation and really kind of spend some time really getting into the details than do it and for some arbitrary uh, due date. Okay, I hate due dates. Due dates is baby stuff. I mean, do the thing when you're done the thing. Okay, I'm in the flying world, right? So I don't care if you figure out how to do landings by Friday and don't know 100% of it. Okay, take your time, figure it out. Get back to me when you know how to do it. That's kind of my philosophy. Um, but the devil's in the details here. Gene's main job is to keep Gene's job. Okay. Gene only makes money by reputation. Gene is not going to get another customer unless he kills this. Okay. That is important. But it's also, Gene just wants to win big. Gene does not want to own a company. Okay. Gene wants to have a liquidity event. That's how Gene makes money. Pat has sweat equity. Beans and rice and beans, children with no braces because they can't afford it for years and years and years, is not going to give up ownership of this Mona Lisa, maybe a urinal cake to you, but to me, it's the freaking Mona Lisa easily. And debt is bad. Debt is bad. Debt is bad. Debt is bad. I'm that guy. Like I have no debt, no debt, no debt. That's just me. I'm a maniac about it. But you know what? I don't want. I made a mistake early on with my company getting into debt. I had looked this up. Okay, you want to hear the creepiest, craziest credit card story you'll ever hear in your lifetime? Look up a credit card company called MBNA, Maryland Bank North America. They changed their credit card rates overnight without telling anybody from 7.99 to 35.99. 35.99 compounding interest. The mafia doesn't charge that. That's crazy. Anyway, I had this happen to me. It happened to me. Believe me. No debt, no debt, no debt. Never. Never. Predicting success is very hard. And you know what that is? Both sides, Pat and Gene. Priority one, they both want to make OBS go big as fast as possible. The entrepreneur wants no boss. Do you think an entrepreneur who's killed themselves for the last 2 years wants to have a boss now? I don't think so. They can't lose the business because the family's in the business. Some of us really baked that in. It was really great. In fact, one of us was very, me and Brigitte were talking about this before. One of us baked in, like at the end of the negotiation, hey, is it going to be considered diluting the ownership to the VC if we make sure that the people, my family that works here, gets some of the ownership? That's an interesting concept. I mean, I never even considered that before. But ultimately, you want to get out as fast as possible anyway, so it shouldn't matter. Gene doesn't have another one on deck right now. Okay, Gene's got to make this work. Gene's got to make this work and make it work now. But Gene does not want to own a urinal cake company. The 12.5% was the magic number. The aspiration was 8.33, and the reservation was 10 on Pat's side. If you're Pat and you took less than 10, it took more than 10, you you must hang your head in great shame. Shame. You'll have shame. Uh, Vulture capitalist. This is me. Okay, here you go. Here's my braces. These are braces right here. This is back in my Wall Street days. Vulture. We call them vulture capitalists, right? Because they're here to suck your blood. This is a small business. Okay, this is what my business looked like when I broke an engine. Okay, I took the engine myself. I put it in the back of my Jeep. I drove it to where it needed to go. This is sweat equity. This is what this looks like, right? You kill yourself. All right. This is so again, operational definitions here. Every one of these negotiations, the next one's McLaurie. Read it because you're going to find that there are issues that you have in common. There are things that would make sense for you both to want, and it's all written in there. Operational definitions: how to get out of here as fast as possible. Um, so also, you'll notice that there are multiple issues in each negotiation. Some are you're going to want the exact same outcome as your partner. You both want the same thing. And that's important that you pay attention to that going to McLaurie, because I guarantee you there's at least one thing that you exactly want the same thing on. And in this case, OBS, you both want it out as early as possible. Nobody wanted them to have Veranderen to have any equity at all for any period of time. And nobody on Pat's side wanted anybody to be the boss. So that's what's called a, a compatible interest. You both want the same thing. How about this? Some of them, though, are absolutely distributive. Some of the issues are you want all the money as fast as you can get, and I want to give you as little as money as possible. That's called a distributive issue. And some of them you can trade for each other, where I can give you all this if you give me all that. And that's exactly where we're going here with the next one. So let's get in here. Here are some other ones that were pretty interesting things that I've seen. Both are risk averse for sure. Um, they wanted to be as little risk as possible. So there's a couple things that could have been done here. A ratchet clause, and I heard a couple of us talking about ratchet clauses, which was very interesting. Anti-dilution clauses, giving contingencies. Hey, I'll give you 20% equity on the same valuation for 2.5 now with a buyback on shares at the present value later. I saw that. Call and put options, right? A call option where like we write in there that in 6 months all the stuff gets traded over, or a put feature, same thing. A put is where the borrower has the right to give it back, and the call where the lender has to bring it back. Full ratchet where you just bring in other people if nothing's happening in a certain amount of time. Converted preferred stock. I've seen a few of those as well. Here's a couple of nice ones I saw. First right of refusal, 12% on 950 with a 4-to-1 price to sale option, right? On the sales. 950 at 12%, first right of refusal for any additional equity based on contract on hand, as well as working relationship at 3.98 to 1 price to sales ratio. That's another interesting one. A 5-to-1 price ratio sales ratio. I saw that one. Contingency. Some of us did this. 5% on the first million, 3% on the next million if you can. Reduced by logistic. This was Brigida's. Reduced by logistic costs by 10%, and sales increased by 10% by the end of the first year. So the idea is you're trying to both get out as fast as you can, some kind of mechanism to allow you to get the hell out based partly on contingency, partly on performance. But the last thing you want as the investor is to own more of this company. You want as little as possible. Zero would be great. You'd like to get $1 million. You give $1 million, you get $10 million back, and you own nothing. And then you move on to your next thing. That's it. That's a perfect life for you. Splitting. Oh, this was Brigida's too. 7% management, 3% equity. 950. I saw a couple board seats plus board seats at 8%. 8,050,000 plus 50% ownership for any new IP. That's kind of marginal because you're talking about something brand new IP, but that's okay. I'll take it. Um, Buyback options. 1 million at 18% with a 5% buyback in 6 months at the original valuation. That's not nifty. One of us did this. If sales triple in 2 years, a one-time buyback at 15% of 20% at an independently valued price. Oh, that's interesting. Very interesting. 1 million at 12% plus a board membership. Board membership. I don't know, maybe buyback in 6 months though at the original valuation. Okay, so in other words, you're out of here. I'll let you be in the board for 6 months, but then bye-bye, Charlie. This was clever, very, very clever. Writing it out firsthand, that gives kind of credibility to it. A clawback, same thing as a buyback. Partnerships, that one I hate. The only kind of ship that doesn't float, right? The partnership. Board seats, discount exits. I like that. Okay, we'll give you the board seat and then we'll let you get out as fast as you want. Royalty drops. This one was clever. Okay, so I think Ryan, if Ryan, I believe you're still with us here. This one and Ian here, you guys go. This was real clever. How you put this thing together with basically a buyback option based on your performance, and you see you were dropping down the equity amount. That was very, very clever. Very, very good. So this was a very, very cool negotiation to watch. Like I said, I am absolutely mesmerized by our class. I think we have an amazing class. I can't get over the ideas that we had and where we went. I think if you watch each other's negotiations, like the requirement is that you just watch one. Okay. I'm like I said, the shortest one, the shortest negotiation was 8 minutes. The longest one was an hour. Almost everyone was in the 20 to 30 minute range. So even if you 2x it or 2x look at some of these things, some of them had the little what do you call it things? They all had CC, so you can read if you want. I always watch it on CC because I want to make sure I hear every single word you say. Um, I think you'll find these things absolutely fascinating. All right. That said, does anyone hate my guts now? I apologize if you do. I'll do my better next time. I promise. What questions do we have that we want on the recording, or I'm going to turn the recording off? All right. I'm going to turn off the recording and then it'll stick around. All right. Those of you watching the recording, thank you very much. Email me if you have any questions.